So, hello all. All right, so I've had something happen today that I feel like I really need to share with you guys. It's kind of big. It's kind of big. It's not, to me, it's kind of big. So, told you all like last year that my mother changed my life, and she did. And one of the things she did was she bumped me into a different tax bracket. So I'm having to do my taxes, and I usually do my taxes myself. Like there's been years where I have taken my taxes to an accountant, but most years I do it myself. My taxes are pretty easy, pretty straightforward, not really a whole lot going on there. And but last year my mom changed my financial situation. So I was really nervous about it. I was really nervous about how this tax year was going to go, and I think anyway, so I take my taxes to an accountant, and she informs me that I owe like about $10,000, and that's just to the IRS. That's not even state taxes, okay? That's just the IRS. Okay, so somebody like me who has had a certain way of thinking about money throughout my life, who is, I don't know, I just know that part of this has just been my own mindset about money and abundance and that kind of thing in my life. So I know that this is me. This is something that I'm dealing with. So I try to take a try at it, and I do my own taxes. So I do my own taxes, and then it goes out about exactly the same. And I'm like, oh God, it's just like I don't know anybody who wants to give money to the IRS, but like I really, really don't want to give this money to the IRS. So I decide that I'm going to take it to another tax guy. So I take it to a third tax person, and I also have asked for an extension because my taxes weren't done before they were due. And partly because I was in like denial and trying to put it off and not deal with it. And I waited a little bit till the last minute. And anyway, so today has been a very, very, very interesting day tax-wise. I had gotten the news from the second accountant, and then I had gotten back with him, and then he came back with something different. And then I came back with some more information about it. And then he went back to the original, and it turns out that I do indeed owe the IRS about, I don't know, it all turns out between federal and state about between $13,000 to $14,000. Okay, now some people who are already in an abundance mindset would say, well, there's worse things in life than owing all this money to the IRS. But see, I'm not. I have noticed some things about being in this different financial situation, about my thoughts about money, my thoughts about abundance, my thoughts about like, this is the only money I'm ever going to get. And so like kind of this hoarding situation and this not wanting to let go of things. And then I know this is an aside, and I'm going to get back to this in a second, but this is kind of an aside. But I had done this thing, and because I had paid off all my debts, like my car, my debts, everything. And I decided to get this credit card. This credit card was just like the coolest thing ever. And it's like it gives money back. So every time I use it, I get a little bit of money back. But if I use it on travel, I get like 5 times the money back. If I use it on this other thing, I get like 3 times the money back. So it's like this very special card. And it was funny because I told you all that my daughter and I were going to be going to this thing in LA this weekend. And so I was showing her the card, and I'm like, and I'd like feel this thing because it's heavy. It's like, and it's just a mind thing, isn't it? Like I get a heavier card because it's like a special card. It's like a magic card because it gives me money back, and then like being very, very careful with it because I don't want to get in debt again. So I have to pay this money back every month. And it was interesting when I handed the card to the guy at the hotel, he was like, wow, this is a cool card. And I'm like, I know, it's magic. This is my magic credit card. So I have been doing some things that I feel like have been productive in this area, but I can tell I'm still in this lack mindset. I'm still in this mindset that I really don't want to let this $14,000 go. I don't want to let it go. And I keep hearing this like Bible verse go in my head over and over, like what Jesus said. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. When they were talking about the taxes, he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. So I started to think about this and I was like, I could do things like I had for years, and I could like be all worried and all in my, upsetness about this and call 10 friends and complain. But I decided, no, I'm going to trust. Don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know. But I mean, it's all going to be okay. If I pay them the $10,000, the $14,000, so be it. I pay it. I have the money. I can just pay it. It'll be okay. It's not the only money I'm ever going to get. Somehow I'll get the money back. I don't know how. I don't know how this is all going to work out, but I just know. And I'm actually having a little bit of fun is like waiting for the results. I'm like, oh my God, like, how is this going to turn out? Like, how is the universe, how is God going to work this out in my favor somehow? Because you know what? Everything does work out. It does. It always works out. It always works out. It always works out. It always, always, always works out, like in this really weird way. And a lot of times it works out in a way that we weren't expecting. Like I have another story that happened like recently that I thought was super interesting. My son had broken his clavicle. In January, he broke his clavicle, and almost just as soon as he broke it, like the next morning, they did surgery to put a rod in his clavicle, because I mean, it was just completely like severed. Like his clavicle was like this. So they had to do this surgery, and I knew the bill was coming. I was just like, oh my God, this bill is coming. And, and it wasn't that bad given everything. I mean, the total bill was like $50,000, but like with insurance and everything, they had broken it down to about, strangely enough, it was like about $14,000. About $12,000, and then there was like $2,000 on the anesthesiologist, so I'm trying to work this out, and I'm like on the phone, like I was gonna decide I was just gonna make payments. I was like, okay, I can just pay, I won't have any interest, so I'll just pay on this for 2 years. Or a year, I had figured it out with the anesthesiologist, $2,000, like I just make payments for the next year and pay it off. But anyway, so I was calling the lady on the hospital bill, and she's like, well, we're sorry, but we can't talk to you about this. Your son has to call. He's an adult. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I figured out, like, much to my joy, I figured out how to put it on a 3-way call. So I was like so excited, and I get my son on the phone, and this lady just keeps saying, this is a pretty big bill. And so she says, I think you should apply for like financial aid on this. Like it wasn't called that, but it was like some kind of financial hardship or financial something or other, and they'll pay for all of it or some of it. That worked out in a way that I had no idea it was going to work out that way. It was the weirdest thing how it just worked out. Like it's always been that way. Like I've told y'all over the years, like my transmission going out of my car, and then the SNAP loan, and then the tax return and paying it off in time and all this stuff, it always, always, always works out. So this time I'm going to do it differently, and I'm going to trust. I don't know how it's going to work out. I really don't, but I'm kind of excited to see. How is this going to work out? I don't know. And just believing myself to be abundant. I'm like, oh, well, just pay it because more is coming. I just know more is coming. I don't know how it's coming, but I just know it is. But anyway, I will be back with other ideas. Love you guys.